Hello, everybody. Welcome. Great to have folks joining us this evening for Fundraising 101. We'll wait just a few moments to get started, let a couple more folks join, and then we'll be off. Welcome those who've just joined to Fundraising 101 to support Rett Syndrome Research. We're going to get started in just a moment. All right. We will get started. We like to be prompt as possible. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Dulkin, and I lead communications for the Rett Syndrome Research Trust. And this is Fundraising 101 for Rett Syndrome Research. We are so glad that you were able to join us this evening. We have a very informative and short presentation for you that will fill in all of the missing details that you might need to get started with fundraising to accelerate research for a cure for Rett syndrome. Fundraising is easier and more fun than you may think, and we want to make sure you walk away with the tools that you need to get started. Presenting this evening is Tim Freeman. Tim is the Chief Development Officer of the Rett Syndrome Research Trust. He has more than 25 years of experience with fundraising and nonprofit leadership, and he is the father of Eleanor, who has Rett syndrome. Before we get started, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items. So first of all, if you'd like to ask a question at any time, you can go ahead and pop that question into the Q&A box that you can reach through that Q&A icon that's at the bottom of your screen. We have plenty of time for Q&A after Tim's presentation, so please don't hesitate to ask your questions by putting them in that Q&A box. We will also be sending out a recording tomorrow to everybody who registered for the webinar. So for those of you who are here now, you will be able to rewatch if you would like. And for those of us who are watching the recording afterwards, great that you're doing that. Finally, I wanted to share that the Rett Syndrome Research Trust website is a fantastic resource for you on all things Rett syndrome research and fundraising. The URL for that is reverserett.org if you're not already familiar, and it will definitely help you as you move forward on your fundraising journey. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tim. Tim, please take it away.
Thank you, Emily. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I looked at the registration list. I saw some names that I know really well, and I saw some new names too. So just thrilled to have you all here with us tonight. My daughter was diagnosed with Rett at 2.5 years old. She's a remarkable girl, just like all your loved ones. She so clearly has ideas and hopes and dreams that I know are waiting to come out if we can only free her and all our loved ones from Rett syndrome. So many of you likely attended RSRT's town hall webinar 3 weeks ago. You saw how much exciting progress we're making, and you heard more about the Taysha gene therapy clinical trial. It is so important that we keep this momentum going, and to do that, RSRT needs families to fundraise. So I hope very much that everyone on this call tonight will come away wanting to do that. I also want to add that I feel very lucky in my role at RSRT that I've gotten to know hundreds of Rett families. I love talking with families, so please don't hesitate to call or email me. It doesn't have to be about fundraising, but of course I'm always especially excited when a family calls me and says they're ready, they're eager, they're ready to jump in and fundraise and make a difference to the research. So I'm going to start with 3 points that are important. One, Emily said it already, she's right, fundraising isn't scary. Anyone can do it. It's not that hard, and it can be fun, and it can be fulfilling. 2, the simple fact is that money makes this research happen. So if all of us raise funds, it grows our resources exponentially. It speeds the research towards the cure that we all want. The third thing, yes, my role at RSRT is fundraising, but the power to raise this money doesn't lie with me. It lies with you. I'm here to encourage you and help you to do that. So we're going to go to some interesting facts about philanthropic giving to all causes that I think you'll find a bit eye-opening. So in 2020, $471 billion was given away to all charitable causes in the US. So what would you think is the biggest source of this funding? Often people think it's corporations, companies, but companies are actually just 3% of all giving. The vast majority of dollars that are given away in the US is from people like you, people like me, almost 80% of all philanthropic giving. So you might say to me, Tim, that's interesting, but what is that percentage like for RSRT, for Rett Research? And here you can see what that is. And over the last 3 years, 90% of our funding has come from individuals and families, 7% from foundations, 3% from corporations. So donations from individuals and families is even more important for RSRT. So we know now where RSRT's dollars come from, but I want you to know a little more about the people who are giving to us. So this next chart shows the percentage of our donors who are connected to Rett syndrome. That is, they either have a friend or a relative who has a child with Rett, or they're a Rett family themselves, their parents or grandparents. So 99.8% of our supporters are connected to Rett syndrome. In other words, virtually every single donor can be traced back to a Rett family. And I want to be very clear here. This does not mean that all our donations come from families that have a child with Rett syndrome. What it means is that when Rett families fundraise, when they take action, their entire networks of friends and colleagues, extended family, make donations. So the visual on that I like is that every Rett family is kind of like the hub of a bike wheel, and around you are the spokes that are all the people in your networks. And when you take action, each of those spokes wants to contribute. And I'll add too that this is not unique to Rett syndrome. It's not unique to RSRT. I've actually spoken with my counterpart at other disease organizations, and the very same is true for them, that their funding comes from people who were personally affected by that disease and their networks. So now we'll get into the heart of this, and what actions can you take that will result in your network supporting this research? Fortunately, we really know the answer to that. There are really two major ways that you can fundraise. One is crowdfunding, and the other is starting an event. So we're going to start with crowdfunding. So just the very basics for anyone who doesn't know is that you set up a campaign on a platform, and then you send that campaign out to your friends and contacts by email and social media. And the best and most effective way to do this is to use RSRT's own crowdfunding platform. It's called RettGive. It's at rettgive.org. And there are a number of advantages to using RettGive. It costs you nothing. It costs RSRT nothing. There's no fee on the donations that are made. The funds that you raise come directly to RSRT and the research, no middleman. Because the donations come right to RSRT, it gives your donors, your supporters, confidence. They know exactly where their donations are going. And here's a very important one, is that you can start a RettGive campaign from anywhere in the world, and it can be done in any language. And finally, these campaigns they're personalized with photos of your child, your grandchild, your loved one, and your own message that you've written. So I want to show you a couple of examples of RettGive campaigns. this one was launched by an uncle who has a niece with Rett, and he's into doing Ironmans, and he built his campaign around that. And you see it's personalized with photos of his niece and his own. Here's his own message that he's written here. He set a goal of $15,000, which you can see right there. And your goal for your campaign can be whatever you want. And it's totally fine if you don't reach your goal. It just helps motivate your supporters. And if we go to his donor list here, we can see all his contributors, people who gave to his campaign. And he's raised almost $8,000 in this campaign towards his $15,000 goal. And the campaign automatically tracks his progress. And if we go back to his campaign story, you can see over on the right-hand side what we call giving levels. These are suggested donation amounts, and this also helps motivate your supporters. They're also personalized. They're different for every campaign. They can be whatever amount you want them to be and whatever name you want them to be. You can see he has 1,000. He has 6 people who gave at $1,000. His $500 level, $250, $100, and $50. And up top, there's always an option for supporters to write in whatever amount they want. They're not constrained at the low end or the high end of the giving level. So I want to show you one more campaign here. This A Cure for Ava was launched by a family whose daughter was actually very recently diagnosed, and Ava's parents and grandparents, actually grandparents on both sides, are fundraising off of this campaign. And you can see their story about Ava. They set a very ambitious goal of $100,000, and this family has raised over $55,000 towards that goal. So that makes a huge difference to the research. They're just doing a terrific job getting it out to their network, and they're getting a great response from all their friends and extended family. And they use this campaign actually as a way to let their friends and contacts know about Ava's diagnosis. And that's a really smart thing to do, because often when you let your friends and family know about the diagnosis, the first thing they ask is, what can I do? What can I do to help? So when friends receive a campaign like this, they have an automatic answer to that. They know, I can give to the research. So I'm going to go back to slideshow here. So some families create RettGive campaigns for birthdays, for anniversaries, for a holiday. It's a great way to ask people for a gift that has real meaning. Some parents, like Bill in the campaign that you saw, they do it for a bike ride or a mountain climb. But plenty of families just start a campaign. They do perfectly well without a connection to an event or a birthday. And I want to say again that RettGive it's an especially great way to go if you're outside the US. It can be done in any language. The funds you raise are automatically exchanged to dollars. So if you're a family in Europe or South America or Asia or anywhere else in the world, I really encourage you to start a RettGive campaign. So how do you start one of these campaigns? The short answer is I will set it up for you. All you need to do is email me your materials, a short paragraph or two about your loved one with Rett, 4 photos, a dollar goal, and your giving levels. Super easy. For the dollar goal, usually they're in the range of $5,000 to $25,000. Some are higher, some are lower. You want to give some thought to your network, and you can certainly call or email me, and I'm very happy to help you think through your dollar goal, like what would make the most sense. And same thing on the giving levels. So once I have your materials, I can set up your campaign in a day, and then I send you a link, and then you send it out to everyone you know. So we've had RettGive campaigns that have raised almost $100,000. Others raise a few $1,000s. It all matters. It all makes a difference. So I'm going to send all of you who are joining us tonight the instructions for the materials to email me, so I can set up one of these RettGive campaigns for you. And I really do hope you'll give it a try. And I bet you'll be very pleasantly surprised at how enthusiastically your network, your friends and family would respond when you create one of these campaigns and send it out. You can also crowdfund on Facebook, and in my email to all of you and follow up, I will also include instructions on starting your own Facebook campaign. Same concept as RettGive. You'll need to share your campaign and reach as many people as you possibly can. So the second major way you can raise funds is by starting an event. And I want to dispel a few myths that I think are out there on events. First, your event does not have to be a big gala. We have a huge range of events. We have backyard barbecues, we have walks, we have happy hours. Some people have cocktails in their home. And yes, we also have some big galas. Basically, an event can take any form you want, so long as it has a very clear way of raising funds through ticket sales and donations and sponsorships. Another myth that I find is out there is that you need to be wealthy or your friends need to be wealthy in order to hold an event. Not true at all. People at all income levels are philanthropic and make donations. In fact, if you don't hold an event or crowdfund, your network will give their money to other causes. So my take on it is, why not do it? Because have them support Rett research. The last myth that I want to dispel is that you have to have event or fundraising experience in order to start an event. Also, not true. And anyone can do this, and I can work very, very closely with you to make it super easy. So what are the steps to launching your event? You want to give some thought to your network. Do you have a lot of friends and family? Or would you say you have a smaller group of friends and contacts? Either is fine. You can make your event fit your network. The second thing, think about what kind of event your network would want to attend. Casual, is it more formal, outdoors, indoors? Third thing, do you know other Rett families in your area? You can talk to them about potentially partnering with you on an event. The more Rett families that are involved, the more networks you can reach out to. Fourth, come up with a time of year for your event. If it's a bigger event, you'll probably want it. You want to have at least maybe 6 months for planning purposes. If it's smaller or in your home, usually just a couple of months is plenty of planning time. So once you've given a little thought to those things, or even if you haven't, even if you just want to brainstorm some of those things, call me or email me, and I will work with you on all of this. So RSRT really provides a lot of support as you're planning and running your event. It's a big event. We can create a web page for it and a digital invitation. We also create a series of promotional emails for your event. We use a shared Google Docs spreadsheet to track all your supporters. Update that daily. So as people buy tickets or donate or make sponsorships to your event, it's all tracked by RSRT, and you can see it almost live time. Wherever you are, whatever state or city you're in, I we'll try to identify other Rett families in your area that might get involved and help you out. Program for your event. I can work with you on this. Typically, programs are not long, 10 or 15 minutes at the most. And usually the family leading the event will speak for a couple minutes. Sometimes a friend or grandparent might also say a few words. Often there's a video. We have a lot of RSRT videos to choose from on YouTube. The programs are pretty easy to figure out. A word about auctions. Many of our events do include auctions. An event does not have to have an auction. It is a good way to raise additional funds, and it gives your guests something that's kind of fun and exciting to do. Almost all auction items are obtained through connections that you or your committee or other families have. And again, if you do decide to have an auction for your event, I would work with you every step of the way. I want to turn it over to Jennifer Andres for a few minutes. She recently held a very, very successful and beautiful event near her home in Cape Cod. She's going to tell you just a little bit about what that experience was like.
Thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. As Tim said, my name is Jennifer Endres, and I'm the family liaison for RSRT. And I'm also the very proud mother of my 19-year-old daughter, Jilly, who was diagnosed with Rett at 17 months. I just want to very briefly share a few of my thoughts on fundraising with all of you. First of all, if you have even the slightest interest or intrigue about getting involved with fundraising, which you must since you are here, I say go for it. I encourage you to take that first step, and that is to call Tim and talk about any ideas you have, or if you don't have ideas, that's okay. You can brainstorm with him to come up with a plan for a fundraiser that will work really well for you and your family and your friends. My family and I have held small events and large events and everything in between over the years. We've hosted Kentucky Derby cocktail parties, backyard barbecues, walks, as well as we've held our own RettGive campaigns and Facebook fundraisers. All are different, yet have a lot of similarities. But most recently, on April 2nd, so just a few weeks ago, my husband and I were co-chairs for the first Reverse Rett Cape Cod Gala. A gala always sounded very intimidating to me until about a year and a half ago when I thought to myself, why not? We can do this. So I took the first step, and that was reaching out to a local venue that I thought would be ideal for a gala. And I was so pleasantly surprised when they responded to me in such a positive and enthusiastic way. They were thrilled that I approached them, and they were actually thanking me. So by overcoming my feelings of intimidation and taking that initial step, it got the ball rolling and plans began to fall into place. So some people are ready and able to jump into something like a gala, while many prefer to start out with something smaller, and that is perfectly okay. The most important thing is to just take that first step, no matter the size. So I won't get into the planning of my most recent event or past events now, but I'm more than happy, just like Tim, to talk to anyone separately, as I love to share about how we have made our events in the past a success. But what I would like to share now is what I think are the two key elements of having a successful fundraiser. So whether it's a RettGive campaign or an actual event, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Tim has shared, but I think it's helpful to hear some of these things a second time or from another perspective. So first, your enthusiasm. That's what drives the event or the campaign. It becomes contagious and it spurs others on to want to get involved or to donate. So when people hear your excitement and your passion, they want to become a part of it. You have a story to tell, a child to do this for, and the research that is extremely promising. So that combo right there makes it really easy to shout it from the rooftops. And I promise you, people will listen. So second, don't be afraid to ask anyone and everyone you know to become involved. You will be so surprised to see just how many people step up and say yes. People really do want to be asked and they want to help. So lean on your friends and your family and your coworkers and your neighbors, anyone you can think of. Ask them to become involved. I have found such great success over the years with simply just asking. Over time, people have become to kind of know their roles and they invite others to become involved. So it's kind of like peeling back an onion. There are just so many layers, but you don't know what is inside until you take that initial step. So I want to end just by echoing what Tim talked about, how fundraising is empowering and it makes you feel good that you're doing something. By being involved in working towards a solution, it has given me so much when it is easy to feel like so much has been taken away. There is power in action, and now more than ever, we need everyone to act so we can continue to work to end Rett syndrome. So thank you so much, and I really hope you will choose to become involved.
Jennifer, thank you. I was lucky enough to get to go to Jennifer's event, and it was very beautiful and very moving, and it was remarkable how excited people were to be there and to support this cause. Really a terrific event. One other thing I want to add about events, if you live in an area where we already have an existing event, an easy way to jump in is to join the committee of that event. And here you can see some upcoming events. If you join a committee for one of these existing events, it gives you leverage to reach out to your network. We give you the invitation or digital invitation. You can use that to fundraise. So one other way that we have done some fundraising at RSRT is by working with families on a tailored approach to someone. Like maybe you have a connection who is especially philanthropic or has a foundation. So if that's the case, I encourage you to contact me and I can work with you on a personalized approach. Maybe it's a letter from you. Maybe it's a letter from Monica or from me. I would work with you on that, and we can come up with a plan that's comfortable and that would be most effective. So the fundraising for the research, it's so important first and foremost for our children, our grandchildren. Again, this research just simply cannot happen without families taking action. I want to reiterate what Jennifer has said, and I've said a bit about too, and that is how empowering it is to take that action. Here's something you can do that makes you part of the solution. For the families that fundraise, it gives them a sense of accomplishment that I think is incredibly fulfilling. So I ask you, don't give yourself an out. Don't say to yourself, I can't do it because of this, or I can't do it because of that. You can do it. It's easier than you think. And a lot of families really have a good time doing this. It lets them be social, meet other families. And the funds raised for RSRT now make a critical difference in all 6 of our priority research approaches. And they make it possible for us to lay the groundwork for more biotech companies like Taysha to start clinical trials. So I also encourage you to be in touch with other families that have fundraised, hear what their experiences were like. We are going to do a quick poll asking you if you'd like to be connected to another family that's fundraised. You can see some of them here. So if you would like to be connected, just respond yes to that poll. So thank you very, very much for participating tonight. I hope you learned something and were inspired by it. And we're going to take some questions now.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone, for your attention. Really glad to have you all here once again, and hope you learned a lot about how to get started with fundraising. So if you haven't already, please respond to the poll, leave that up for a couple minutes. So if you have a question, please place it in the Q&A box. Looks like we don't have any questions right now. So Tim, I'm going to actually ask you just a few questions that I know come up quite frequently for you. One is something that I'm sure is on everyone's mind, especially if they've never done fundraising before. What do you say to people who tell you that they're nervous about asking their friends and family for money?
People want to give to this cause, and I'll use myself as an example here. I'm on the committee, or one of the co-chairs of the Reverse Rett New York City event, because I live reasonably close to New York. And so every year for that event, I send out that invitation to about almost 200 of my friends and family. And virtually every one of them gives. They don't all attend. They can't. Some of them do. But even if they don't attend, they still give, which is what makes the difference to the research. And I will tell you, I've had friends, a couple times I forgot, I left a couple people off my list by accident, and those friends emailed me and said, how come I didn't get the invitation to the Reverse Rett New York this year? They want to help. They want to help Eleanor, my daughter, and they want to help me, and they want to make a difference to the research and to Eleanor's future.
Thanks. I know I've been asked to fundraise for a variety of causes in the past, and it's nerve-wracking, even when you know people are going to give. So it's good to have those words of encouragement and know that everybody really just wants to help. So I also wanted to know, wondering if you could talk a little bit about, do people who start with a crowdfunding campaign typically move on to host an event? Like, is it a sort of a ladder like that, or is that not so common?
Not necessarily. They can certainly. We've had families that have done crowdfunding campaign and then later on done an event. But we also have plenty of families who just stick with crowdfunding. It depends what they're most comfortable doing, the way that they want to reach out to their networks.
Thanks. And I do see we have a question from Rita, who wants to be connected to Rett families in your area. So Rita, we'll definitely make a note of that. And I know that you and Tim have already been in touch quite a bit. So we'll make sure that we get back in touch with those local Rett families. But that must be a huge boon to anybody, especially on the event front, but just in general, to get the support and make that connection, to connect with other families. It looks like we do have some folks here who do want to connect with Rett families in their area. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. One last question, because I know we all are busy, and so we want to keep it pretty tight on time, but what percentage of money from events come from sponsorships versus ticket sales? And actually, could you talk a little bit about the difference between sponsorships and ticket sales?
Sure. Typically, ticket sales, first of all, the price of a ticket to an event, I work with families on setting a price that makes sense for their network. Most of the ticket prices are over $100. For the big events in big cities, they're more. They're $250, $300. And the majority of dollars that come into an event actually come from sponsorships, and sponsorships usually start at $1,000. For the bigger events, they can go up to $25,000. there's a range in there. Some events have a top sponsorship of 5,000. Again, it depends on your network. And typically 60 or 70% or so of an event's the funds that come into an event come through sponsorships. And sponsorships come almost entirely from people, from individuals, not from, occasionally we'll get a corporate sponsorship, but even that is usually it's always when the family that's running the event has a connection to that company. They know the CEO or they know someone high up, and the CEO gets the company to make that donation. And again, plenty of people who can't attend the event will still make a sponsorship or a donation. That's important to remember. And sponsorships come for every event. They come with perks, some recognition for the sponsor. Usually get your name listed on the web page. There's a digital journal, and you can have a digital journal ad at the event, or a poster along with other sponsors. So there's some recognition that they get for their generosity.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you. And I see a comment from Amy in the chat about if people can't give money, they can usually help organizing an event, which is wonderful, in kind donating time, or a campaign. So could potentially do some outreach to help you out. Amy also has a question in regards to crowdfunding. Can the donation amount title change to different wording, like another dollar amount? She says, I've had people who had wanted to donate, but they think they can only donate in the amounts of the levels that I've chosen. So I guess they don't realize that donation amount can have a monetary. So this is sort of like a website user experience issue of people not really seeing that they can fill in their own amount, it sounds like.
Yeah, for every campaign, there is the option to put in any amount you want.
So yeah, Amy, maybe for those folks, you can just point out to them on the website. And that's a good design note for our website. So I'm in regular contact with our webmaster, and we can see if we can have him make that a little clearer. So thank you for that feedback. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions right now. So I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening and taking time out of your day. Tim, any closing thoughts from you?
I hope to hear from many of you, and of course, I'd love to talk to you about fundraising. It's what I do. It's what I care about. It's what drives the research forward. Call me, email me. If you don't feel like you're ready for fundraising, call me or email me, because I wanna talk to you about it, and I want to know why you don't feel ready. So I'm open to any conversations like that. Again, I really enjoy speaking with other Rett families. I always learn a lot from each of you. So thank you for joining us, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.